billion portfolio. Now, next to Sander, and also don't need my paper for that, is David DeVos, who's head of sustainability at Prudential. Who of you knows Prudential? Okay, no explanations needed there. Just wanted to say, and I need my paper for that number, Prudential is having a $31 billion portfolio of real estate across the world. So again, a giant in this space. Then we have Andrew McGillen, who's, and I need to read that, Senior Vice President and Managing Director for Real Estate Management at Oxford Properties. And Oxford Properties is the real estate arm of OMERS. And OMERS is one of the largest pension funds in Canada. And then all the way on your left is Jonathan Flaherty, who's head of sustainability at Tishman Speyer. And Tishman Speyer, again, is kind of a hidden giant, $32 billion in real estate assets under management. So again, a very, very large group that does real estate development and management on behalf of a lot of institutional investors. So together we have, and I did my math on the plane, we have 160 billion in assets under management on this panel here. And I'd like to give the floor to David to start with his remarks. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. For those of you who traveled long and far, thank you for making the effort to be here. It's a real pleasure for me to be here. I did want to talk a little bit about Prudential and some of our assets and the set of assets that we've got. So I'll briefly speak a little bit about the difference between investors and investment managers, a little bit about Prudential real estate investors, some key investment themes, a little bit about the supply chain, both tenants and investors who provide us with capital. A little bit about our own internal integration of sustainability, and I was asked to talk a little bit about the future as well. The one thing that I did want to talk about before we really got started on the investment side, on the investor side, was, as Niels pointed out, there's a huge drive towards investors really pushing sustainability, and I did want to mention one group in particular, and that's the UN-sponsored Principles for Responsible Investment. This group, when Prudential joined as a signatory about 3 or 4 years ago, there were 300, maybe 400 signatories to the UNPRI. There are now over 1,100 signatories, so you can see this rapid growth. And they went from either it was $6 to $8 trillion in value to now over $30 trillion in assets under management. So when you've got an organization with $30 trillion in assets under management, when they say go in one direction, you really need to listen to what they have to say. And what's interesting is they've done a lot of research. I think, Niels, you're part of the academic community with UNPRI. What they're suggesting is that we as a fiduciary, and a fiduciary, I've got a couple of bullet points up there. A fiduciary is one who manages someone else's money. It's not our capital that's being invested. It's other people's money. But we have an obligation as a fiduciary to provide the highest possible risk-adjusted returns. And the UNPRI really believes that taking sustainability, specifically environmental, social, and governance issues, into consideration in that investment decision-making process is critical to maximizing returns and mitigating risk. Okay? So the 2 points I want to make sure that you understand is that we as investment managers really do want to consider, we have an obligation to consider sustainability and also the investor expectations of creating value and reducing risk. Now, a real quick snapshot of our portfolio. It's very large, it's diverse. It actually is $50 billion under management.